everybody, this is Tammy Wood from Saucy Outdoors. Welcome to my kitchen once again. I am excited to share with you a brisket recipe using my 5-rack digital broadleaf smoker. Now, one thing about brisket is that some people can be quite intimidated by it. It is a very tough piece of meat, but if you cook it low and slow with the perfect amount of spice, it'll be the most incredible piece of meat you've ever had. Now, there's different variations. You can find 1,000 of them online. Some of the ones that I like to do are like a Mexican version with chili powder and cumin and garlic and all those different types of spices, and slice it up and use it in my carne asadas. Or you can do like an Indian version as well and serve it with basmati rice. You can do so many different things with the brisket, but today I'm going to be infusing it with an olive oil's selection of olive oil and balsamic. I've decided to use a bourbon maple syrup balsamic and a butter infused olive oil injected into my brisket. Now that combination is incredible. The butter infused olive oil actually tastes exactly like butter without the fat. So if you're on a diet, that's the best thing to have. You can actually drizzle it on your popcorn. You wouldn't even know the difference. So with my brisket, like any brisket, they're all different. Sometimes you get them with a big hunk of fat. Other times there's not a lot of fat. With this brisket, I've already trimmed it. I didn't want to spend 10 minutes showing you how to take fat off of a piece of beef, but I'm sure you all know how. So when we're smoking it, we always smoke it fat side up. Now, I always have a nice little pan so I can keep all of my stuff inside the pan so it doesn't make a big mess. So I'm going to put my brisket inside this dish. Now, I have measured out in my awesome little injector that you can get from any type of kitchen supply store. I've put in about 15 mils, which is about 2 teaspoons of your olive oil butter. And I've also put in the maple bourbon syrup. Now, you don't have to be perfect with injecting. Usually I kind of go off to the side. It might make you a little queasy to think that you're stabbing something into a piece of meat, but just give it a little squirt, just a tiny little squirt, just all over on the top. It'll make a mess, that's okay. The color is going to make the smoking beautiful. Usually I'll do like 3, 4 on the top, on the side as well. You can use apple juice. You can use any type of a liqueur in your injections. So just like so. Just kind of softens it up a little bit, gives it another element of flavor. These are awesome. I suggest you get one. Next thing we're gonna do is put together all of our spices. Now, today I've decided to use fresh ginger, a tablespoon of it. I could use a powdered ginger, but I do like the texture of the ginger. The freshness of a freshly grated ginger to me is far superior. Even when I make my pumpkin pies, I always use a fresh ginger rather than a powdered. So we're gonna plop that inside our bowl. We have a tablespoon of garlic powder. We have a tablespoon of chili powder, as well as a tablespoon of paprika. We have a tablespoon of kosher salt. And last but not least, a tablespoon of our cracked pepper. Now we're gonna mix this together with our little whisk. And sometimes when I'm using something that's fresh with powdered, I'll stir it for so long and then I will use my fingers to crumble it up, almost like when I'm doing a pie crust with lard and flour. I just kind of crumble it around, almost like a fine oatmeal type mixture. You can see how it's coming together, but I'm just kind of separating it with my fingers. So once we got our spice blend ready, we are going to just envelope this entire brisket with this spice. So I just take it with my hands and just generously rub all over this brisket. Sometimes I leave a little bit more fat on, and then I can always trim it after. So my broadleaf smoker right now is set at 220 degrees. I am going to put this brisket on the rack and we are going to smoke it at 220 for about 2.5 hours. In that time, the temperature of this brisket internally should be about 160. Then we're gonna pull this brisket and we are going to tin foil it. Or you can also wrap it in parchment paper or butcher wrap. And we're going to put it back in the Bradley smoker for about another 2.5 hours until the internal temperature reaches about 190, or until you can take your fork and literally peel the meat away. So we're getting pretty good here. I like lots of spice. I like flavor. I don't like to chintz on the spices. Just gonna rub a little bit more in here. There we go. Another option that you can do with your brisket is after you have reached that 160-degree mark at 2.5 hours, before you pull it, you can take a couple of onions, chop them up nice and fine, but keep them in the rings. I want you to put them in a wok and caramelize them. Then open up your tin foil, put your caramelized onion underneath, and then place your brisket over top of that, and then crimp it together, and then put it in your smoker for another 2.5 hours. The onions literally disappear. They almost become part of the brisket, and the flavor is incredible. So now that we have got our spices all the way around, you can actually do this the night before and let it sit in your refrigerator, or you can just cook it the way it is. There we go. So now we're gonna place our brisket piece and we're gonna lay it on our magic mat. Magic mat, one of the best things that's ever been created. I love the magic mat. Nothing sticks to it, it's fantastic. There. Okay, so there you have it. Brisket ready to go for the Bradley smoker. I'm gonna put it in there for 2.5 hours and you're gonna see the magic happen. Welcome back. This is Tammy Wood from Saucy Outdoors. I am very excited to show you the end result of my smoked brisket using my 5-rack digital Bradley smoker. I used a hickory chip with this. Hickory kind of exudes a bacon-like flavor after it's been smoked, and nothing goes better with bacon than maple syrup. And this has been injected with a maple bourbon balsamic. So excited to try this out. So let's lift it up. It's been 5 hours. 5 hours in the Bradley. There we go. Now let's just see how soft this is. Oh my goodness. This is incredible. I don't even need a fork to pull this away. That's how beautiful it is. Now, like we discussed, I did put a bunch of caramelized onions underneath, and it just adds to the flavor and dynamic of this gorgeous brisket. I'm gonna pull this up, put it on my cutting board there. Now this can be served with baked potatoes, smashed potatoes. It can be served with any type of vegetable you want. You can actually take all the juices from inside of here with all those caramelized, almost disappeared onions and make the most incredible gravy you've ever had. Now I can't stare at this much longer without taking a bite because I'm a meataholic. Oh my goodness. Look at that. This would make the most amazing beef dip sandwiches. But I actually like the fattier parts. Oh my goodness, this is so good. But I'm gonna go to the fattier part because I like the fat. Oh my. It's just delicious. So delicious. I can taste the maple. I can taste that kind of bacony type flavor. I can taste the caramelized onions on this. It is so delicious. So from beginning to end, 5.5 hours, 220 degrees in your Bradley smoker. Cook it for 2.5 hours till the internal temperature reaches 160. Pull it, throw it in some tin foil. You can inject it with apple juice if you want, or you can just put all the onions and vegetables underneath it, put it on top, so you can taste other flavors as well. Look at that. I just can't stop playing with it. If you would like this recipe, please follow me on my Tammy Wood or Saucy Outdoors Facebook page, Instagram page. I'd be happy to share this recipe with you. You can also go to my website where I'll have this recipe posted. But in the meantime, happy cooking with your brisket.